Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, mayors behaving badly. Also, HB 445 claims its first victim, and an alleged Ponzi scheme touches Alabama politics.
So if the question ever comes up, just think about what Fonzi says. You better dig what you got now, because you ain't going to have it forever.
I didn't say Fonzi, I said Ponzi. Still good advice. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, columnist, investigative reporter at APR. Welcome.
Hey, how y'all doing?
You know, I have to title this this segment right here, Mayors Behaving Badly.
Ooh.
Mayors behaving badly.
Shame.
Or mayor's gone wild, as it seems. But, you know, as I wrote a piece this week talking about how the mayor of Alexander City, Woody Brainerd, or Baird, he was on an email chain where they were discussing the logistics for a cancer awareness dinner that was going to happen, and he said to one of the people on the thread, he said, "Listen, I will pay for part of the catering for this event if you will take down my opponent's yard sign that's in your yard and put up mine." Now, Susan, that may not be illegal, or it may be illegal. I'm not sure. I'm not calling it one way or the other. But what I am saying is, asking for a quid pro quo that involves a charitable event, you're asking for a political favor for you to give them the money for the catering. It sounds stupid, at least.
It's stupid, at least. It's also insulting. I mean, this is a cervical cancer event where they're trying to, raise awareness about HPV vaccines. And here's this guy trying to make a political play out of somebody trying to raise money for health awareness. First of all, that is right on the line. It's got to be right on the line of illegal, you're using this for political gain. But just the I can't think of the word. The outrageousness of it.
Josh would say, Josh,
blatant outrageous.
The gall, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. That's the word.
Yeah. No. These mayors, a lot of times, mayors, city councilmen, county commissioners, they get stuck down in their little fiefdoms a lot of times, and they don't. I almost say they don't necessarily realize where the lines are. A lot of times, or they don't think much of the lines. They think they can say pretty much whatever they want to say, and none of this stuff matters. And I really wish that we could start a program in which we had some ethics training that involved mayors and city council people and commissioners and stuff at that level. And it didn't, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't start until they get to the state level. Now I'm sure that if they offered, if they asked to go, that they would allow them to go to some of the ethics trainings that take place. But I mean, I really think that it's something that should be required for people that hold any kind of a public office, just to let them know where the lines are in this sort of thing. So you don't put this sort of idiocy in an email to somebody and make it seem as though the catering for the charity function is dependent on what yard sign the guy's got in his yard.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it just makes politics look dirty, and it already is dirty enough, but it makes it look. I mean, look, he's a mayor in a town that used to have the worst reputation. I mean, it wasn't Phoenix City, but not a great spot. And then again, you go in there and tie this political shenanigans to a charitable event. It makes you look dumb. and perhaps corrupt. But again,
As my mama used to say,
yeah,
I'd be ashamed if I were you.
yeah. Well, there is no shame. And then you got the mayor of Orange Beach, Tony Kennon, who's been in the news more than once. Being accused of abuse and being out on the balcony naked and all this stuff hanging out on the balcony down there at the beach.
Well,
I mean, come on, man.
But the problem is, it was in a city-owned building.
Yeah.
This wasn't him in a hotel somewhere. This is a city-owned building, and the body cam footage hasn't been released yet. But what it says is that punching a woman in a city-owned office balcony.
Yeah.
And when the officers responded, they asked him what his name was, and he says Tony Kenyon through the door.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on. First of all, domestic violence and in a city-owned building. My God, get yourself together.
At least alleged, and this is not the first time things have been alleged against Tony. But I mean, Josh, butt naked on the balcony of a municipal building. That seems like a mayor's acting badly.
Seems like a good Orange Beach vacation.
Yeah.
No, listen. I mean, it's there's a lot of problems with this, and not all of them fall with Tony Kennon. I mean, obviously he's the main actor here, and so I think that there's some scrutiny that needs to take place. But can you just do that? Can you just shout the name of any mayor through a door and police will leave? Because I have some folks I think would appreciate that knowledge if they could just shout out the name of any mayor and they would just turn and walk away from a domestic violence call.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what was taking place here. And so, I know they went back later and it seems, I'll say this for them. It seems as though the higher ups at the police department took a look at the body cam footage and said, "Whoa, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
You got to go back over and check this out." And so that at least that took place. But we found out about it later through the Lagniappe that reported on this, and good story by those guys.
Yeah, good story.
But it just it's atrocious behavior all the way around. And again, I think we could serve a lot of people by paying attention to the ethics laws, paying attention to ethics in general, and maybe electing people who are more apt to adhere to ethics.
And this is once again an example of domestic violence not being taken seriously.
Well, and in this case, I would admit, and this is just my opinion
About the police officer that walked away is what I'm saying.
The police officer walked away because of the mayor's position. So they went, "Oh, it's the mayor."
It's okay if he hits a woman. It's all right.
Well, and it's one of those things. If all this is true, both these guys should lose their elections. I mean, come on, man. You just can't have this. I mean, we've got this is silliness. But a mayor has a super important job to represent a city like Orange Beach or Alexander City. It's not a laughing thing. It's not a joke. It's a serious job that needs serious people, not some good old boys with his junk hanging out or another guy wanting to bribe somebody, allegedly, to put in a yard sign. But anyway, we're running out of time with stupid. We're going to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. We could name this segment, Are You Smarter Than an 8th Grader in 1912? And I think you'll see that the answer is probably not. A Georgia man has been accused of running a Ponzi scheme, about $140 million, and it has tagged some elected officials over here in Alabama. Now, I think we're only at the tip of the iceberg of the story. I think it runs much, much deeper. But Edwin Brant Frost IV, with a name like that, Josh, you would almost expect him to have inherited a Ponzi scheme, but again, it's alleged. But he obviously, it looked like he had a bank the way it looked, but he didn't have a bank. And he had all these right-wing and Christian broadcasters promoting this fund that he had. And it turns out, they put in money and they would get big returns on the investment. That was the promise. Well, it turns out that our state auditor, Andrew Sorrell, and State Representative Benjamin Harrison, and Alan Long, Francis Allen Long, who had $1 million to run for school board here in Alabama. I never heard of anybody who had $1 million to run for a school board. But Josh, you really looked at this in depth. So Susan, this tie to Sorrell, Benjamin Harris, and Francis Allen Long, it may not be anything illegal, but it certainly looks like it should be.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll say one thing real quick. Long's campaign had $250,000.
Oh, it was $250,000.
Just more than $250,000. Yeah. So which is still an outrageous amount of money for a state school board. It's an astonishing amount of money. But it's the investment part of it, which I had never frankly heard of before. Andrew Sorrell's PAC, Alabama Christian Citizens, loaned this place. I guess you could call it a loan or an investment or whatever, $29,000 from the PAC, and I never had seen such a thing before. But before that, we called it an investment, and he checked it out with the Ethics Commission beforehand, and the Ethics Commission said, as they often do, okay, go ahead. And so that's weird. And then we get into a whole bunch of other ties with these sorts of things, and there are all these people and all these parts kind of moving around, and they're all in this orbit of this Christian conservative kind of movement that's taken place in many states, and especially in Alabama, and has caught up a number of our politicians and some of the folks that we typically hear from when the legislature's in session of causing the most trouble, quote unquote, among the legislative ranks up there with, their very conservative, very far right ideas. And these folks were kind of caught up in this as well. And I think you're right when you said it's kind of the tip of the iceberg of this thing. I think we're going to find out that a whole lot more people are involved in it. And it kind of goes back to what we've been saying about introducing religion and politics and stuff. It often creates a number of problems, and this is one of them.
Well, Susan Sorrell is really tied up in this thing where he and Long's campaign are very tied together. Now, he said that Long was a good buddy of his, and this is why he did it. But it also, it looks like, we know, he has this company, what is it? A Stable Revolution, where they worked on his campaign. And, you got a statewide officer working for a political campaign. We don't know if that, I've never heard of that, but he also gave them money, and then they hired him to do advertising, he said, I think. But it's a lot of money that went into his that Long's campaign, is it Long? No, yeah, Long's campaign, and then went immediately back out to Andrew Sorrell. Now, I'm not saying he committed a crime here because that's not my judgment call, but it looks stinky. I don't think Mike Hubbard would have even touched this kind of deal.
No, it looks very Mike Hubbard-esque, but Mike Hubbard was a lot smarter than these guys are. This is where they thought they could just do this little dance here and be able, what it looks like allegedly, is that they would do this little financial dance here and make some money for themselves right quick without anybody noticing. Well, apparently they weren't around during the Mike Hubbard trial. Everybody notices everything. This can get stinky real deep. I know that Andrew Sorrell at this point has $171,000 involved. Harrison has $22,800, and Al Long has $40,000. That's just in the Ponzi scheme, not in this what you're talking about, the backroom deals that were going on here.
And again, there may not be anything wrong with it, Josh, but you talked with several folks, and I have too, who said this may not be illegal, but it should be, right?
Yeah, no, and it's right. And just the flow of this was it went from the PAC that Sorrell runs, Alabama Christian Citizens, went to Long's campaign, who Long had hired his company, Stable Revolution, to work as to place advertising for him. And so then they turned around and spent money that the campaign, or that the PAC had given the campaign, with the private business of the guy that runs the PAC. And so, it's all kind of a circular sort of thing. And Sorrell explained this in an email saying, listen, we were friends. We've been longtime friends. We've done, I wanted to work on this campaign. We just did advertising. He didn't pay me for any of this while it was taking place. He gave me a win bonus on the backside of it. And that's how this worked. Now, okay, let's take him at his word. We have nothing to refute any of that. But this is certainly, I think, and a lot of people that I spoke with, and these are people that work in the state, they see this as a roadmap for other people to take advantage of a situation and to turn campaign money into private funds and payments. And that is enriching yourself from your office, and that is a no-no in the state.
And I don't understand how this is not a PAC-to-PAC transfer. I really don't see how you get around this not being a PAC-to-PAC transfer. No, you can call it, duck. But this it looks to be, Susan, we got about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not, but that's what it looks like.
It does look like it to me, and we have people looking into to see if it indeed qualifies as a PAC, and if it does, they've got problems.
But the crazy thing, when you start looking at some of the high-profile people that were involved in this alleged Ponzi scheme here in Alabama, and we hear it goes way, way into the Republican Party, especially the Christian right end of it, where these people were either duped or duplicit. Who knows? But it really goes deep. But we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Well, the hemp bill, HB 445, a bill that was hastily put together, a Frankenstein bill that makes possession of smokable hemp or vapable hemp a felony along the lines with possessing or selling fentanyl in the state. It also has put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out of business, has cost employees, well over 1,000 employees, their jobs. And this past week, it claimed its first victim as a woman was arrested in Athens for having smokable hemp. And she had some legal problems before, but she was pulled over, Susan, for a traffic stop. They found smokable hemp in her car, in her vehicle. And now she is facing felony charges for having a product that was legal before Andy Witt and Andy Witt's bill went through. And all this stuff became illegal with the signing of the law by Governor Ivey. And I have talked to lawmakers who said it was a sad mistake, but everybody was caught up in a fever pitch over this thing, and it is a terrible bill. And some of them feel bad about it, but they say nobody's going to back off of this because they don't want to be embarrassed. And I've had some of them, when I was talking to it, they just shut up when I ask them about it.
Yeah, they should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed that they did it in the beginning. Now, this, oh, I'm so sorry. Now, what is it going to cost this woman? What is it going to cost her in life? What is it going to cost her in finances? What's going to cost her with her family and community? Being a felon now.
Yeah.
A felon.
Yeah.
When she just had marijuana, that she could buy, over here that she didn't know actually what she was getting in it because it's not regulated either. She's now a felon.
Yeah.
So they should be embarrassed, and they should undo this bill.
The worst one I have heard of, and he emailed you, and the man was a Vietnam vet.
Yep.
He has severe PTSD. His dog also took gummies for arthritis so it could get up the stairs. And that man said, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Will I have to, for the first time in my life, buy illegal drugs? Josh, we live in a graceless age, and our lawmakers do not think about people when they pass these laws.
No, it's man, this sets up one of the stupidest scenarios that you could possibly have, where a person this lady could have realistically argued that what they found was not hemp but fentanyl. Because it would have been a lesser crime. Think about that.
Yeah.
This hemp, this pre-roll hemp, would have been is punished more severely by our law now than possession of fentanyl. A possession of other hard illegal drugs. It's just the most insane thing that we have ever done in terms of drug enforcement in this state.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's going to ruin lives. I mean, you're talking about felony convictions. Felony convictions cost you time with your children. Felony convictions, it can cost you jobs. It can cost you employment. It can cost you. It just turns your life upside down for these things. And listen, I hope that people don't get caught. But I mean, you'd be surprised at how many people. I'll tell you. Let me tell you this. All right, the other day I had a discussion with some people about the cell phone ban in schools.
Right.
That they signed. And you know that those things include more smart devices than just cell phones. They also include watches, which we send our child to school with a smartwatch every day. She's 7 years old. We like to know where she is.
Right.
I know that's helicopter parenting and whatever, but damn it, we're parents.
Yeah.
We ought to be able to do that. That's now a punishable offense under this bill. Parents had no idea until the school sent out this notice. So people are going to be just as surprised by this hemp law that's now in effect, and because people don't follow this like we do. They don't follow this every day. They don't know what is happening out here. They know they've been buying pre-rolls and everything's been legal. And so they're going to get caught up in this, and you're going to have, I bet you will have 1,000 accidental felonies by the end of this year.
And I know another thing that was brought up during all this discussion of this arrest is that even if you bought it before July 1st, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you get caught with it, you're going to jail.
Can you imagine
you're getting a felony?
You're this vet, this veteran who had the PTSD and all that, maybe he had one slipped under the seat of his truck or his vehicle, and they pull him over and they search his vehicle, and it didn't help that it didn't matter that he served in war. It didn't matter that he bled for the country. It doesn't matter that he still suffers for that. What we're going to do is thanks to Andy Witt's bill, we're going to put you in jail and make you a felon. God bless him. Anyway, I want to get to this last thing here. I'm sure people love this. John Wall, head of the Alabama Republican Party and also the head of the Alabama Public Library Service, sent out a threatening letter recently to librarians telling them that if they don't pull books off the shelves that have anything to do with gender ideology, that they will not get any federal funds. And he quotes President Donald Trump's executive order on this issue. Now, let me say this. They don't get enough federal funds to hardly make a difference. And this is just more bullying by people like John Wall, who can't, their idea of leading is bullying. And John Wall, whose name is not even John Wall, who goes by a fake identity, who has some real issues.
That we
it
know
leads
about.
not only the Alabama Republican Party, but the library services. And I don't know for the life of me why he got appointed to that position when all he has done is tried to destroy libraries in this state.
That's all he's done. I mean, he's not a leader. He's just a bully.
Yeah.
And he's just a bully that we're finding out more and more about, that we're really researching into some things that may tie him to places he doesn't want to go. Nevertheless, I mean, what has the head of the Republican Party got to do any business with the libraries?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
And
Well-
all he's done is cause disruption, hate,
Yeah.
confusion,
Yeah.
hatred, and all of that in there.
And it's all about parental rights, Josh, but you don't have a right to know where your child is when they're at school, but you have the right to go in and be mad about their book on gender ideology. Come on.
Yeah. I just, I don't understand why my rights are less than the crazy people's rights. That's what I don't understand. I don't understand why it's, the books have to be pulled out of the library. Maybe there's some books that I would like for my child to read.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm in there watching my child, and like maybe they should. And if you don't want your children to read the books that are available at the library, then don't do that. I mean, they sell lots of bad products in lots of places. You should watch your children to make sure they don't get their hands on those bad things if you think they're bad things. But otherwise, I think it ought to be left up to the person. And I like freedom. I'm an American. I like freedom. I like, people to be open and honest. And I like to be able to read the Epstein files. I just would like this.
Yeah, it'd be nice to read the Epstein files. Good luck getting your hands on some of those, right? That's pretty funny. Well, I believe, I believe in small government, especially if it's far away from me and anyone I love, because it never solves problems. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.